We're liable to have folks among us who are here for more than just a good time, if you know what I mean. Now, the minute it looks like there's gonna be trouble, we got to nip it! Nip it in the bud! Nip it! Let's hear it! Nip it!
Don Knotts leaving the Andy Griffith Show still feels strange because Barney Fife was not just another supporting character in Mayberry, he was the jittery little deputy with one bullet in his shirt pocket, a face full of panic, and a heart that was usually in the right place, even when his instincts were nowhere near it. For 5 seasons, Knotts turned Barney into one of television's funniest characters, and his partnership with Andy Griffith gave the show its perfect comic balance. Then, almost suddenly, Barney was gone as a regular. The explanation on screen was simple. Barney had moved to a police job in Raleigh. Off-screen, the story was more complicated. Knotts believed the show was ending after 5 seasons, started planning his next career move, and then Andy Griffith changed his mind about continuing. Before we start, tell us in the comments whether Mayberry ever felt the same after Barney left. Today, we're looking at why Don Knotts quit the Andy Griffith Show immediately after everything changed. Mayberry's secret weapon.
Oh, Barney.
Andy, do you realize what in the world they can do to us if they...
Barney, you beat everything. He would have to be in the other door.
Oh, this is awful. This is just awful. Do you think maybe we better call? Maybe somebody outside will hear us.
Might as well.
Help!
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 When the Andy Griffith Show began in 1960, the original idea was not exactly the Mayberry most viewers came to love. Andy Griffith had already become known for broad, high-energy comedy, especially through No Time for Sergeants. Early on, he was expected to be the funny one. Then Don Knotts arrived as Deputy Barney Fife, and the chemistry shifted fast. Griffith realized the show worked better when Andy Taylor stayed calm and Barney carried the nervous, explosive comedy. That change may be one of the smartest adjustments in sitcom history. Barney was insecure, proud, excitable, and convinced he was much more impressive than he really was. He could turn a minor traffic issue into a full law enforcement emergency. He could puff himself up like a tiny rooster and then collapse the second real pressure arrived. But Knotts never played him as a fool with no soul. Barney wanted respect. He wanted to be brave. He wanted Andy, Opie, Aunt Bee, Thelma Lou, and the whole town to see him as a real officer. That little ache underneath the comedy is why viewers laughed at Barney but still loved him. Knotts quickly became the show's comic spark. He won Emmy after Emmy for the role, and by the middle of the 60s, Barney Fife was one of the main reasons people tuned in. A 5-year plan.
Why did you leave the show?
I left because Andy had said he would never do the show longer than 5 years. And I had a 5-year contract, and during the 5th season, I thought, geez, I better start looking around for more work. And I wound up getting an offer from Universal to do movies and do my own pictures. And then Andy suddenly said he was going to stay on another 2 or 3 years. Well, I'd already cast my lot, I guess.
The reason Knotts left begins with an understanding about time. Griffith had long indicated he did not plan to do the Andy Griffith Show forever. 5 seasons seemed like the natural stopping point. That mattered because television actors had to think ahead. Knotts was becoming famous, but a hit sitcom could also trap a performer in one role. If the show was going to end, he needed to know what came next. So during the 5th season, Knotts began looking at other opportunities. He had already proved he could carry comedy, and Hollywood noticed. Universal Pictures offered him a movie deal, and that opened the door to a new career on the big screen. From Knotts' point of view, this was not betrayal, it was planning. If the Andy Griffith Show was ending, then moving into movies made sense. He was still hot, still loved by audiences, and still young enough in his career to make a jump. The twist was that the show did not end. Griffith decided to continue. By then, Knotts had already set his mind on leaving Mayberry. Andy changes course.
That's what made the show a hit. Was Don, because That's what I didn't like about the show. They had me as sheriff, justice of the peace, editor of the paper, and I'd tell little funny stories about people around town. That would have lasted maybe 2 weeks.
The painful part of the story is that Knotts probably would have stayed if he'd known the show was going to continue. He later said that if he had known Andy intended to keep going, he would have stayed. That makes his exit feel less like a feud and more like a sad career mix-up. Knotts had moved based on one expectation, then the situation changed after he had already started steering himself towards another future. There were also business issues around the decision. Knotts later suggested that salary, ownership, and opportunity played a role in what he wanted from the show if he was going to remain. He knew how valuable Barney had become. Griffith, meanwhile, was the star and center of the business machine. He had more control, more leverage, and more reason to continue once the show was still popular. Knotts was beloved, but he was not in the same position. That imbalance helped make the decision harder. For Knotts, staying might have meant more years as the funniest man in Mayberry, but still not the man in charge. Leaving meant risk, but it also meant a chance to see whether Don Knotts could succeed without Barney's badge. Barney leaves town.
Barney, what do you mean you're handing in your resignation?
Just what I said. I'm handing in my resignation. One tie clip. One tie.
Well, now, whoa, just a minute now. Now, before I accept your resignation, I got to have a little explanation here. Now, just ease back and tell me what's got into you.
Well, this is the last straw, Andy.
On the show, Barney's departure was handled quietly. He left Mayberry to join the police department in Raleigh, finally getting the bigger law enforcement job he'd always imagined for himself. The explanation fit Barney in a sweet way. He had always dreamed of being seen as a serious officer, and Raleigh gave him a promotion that sounded important. But for fans, it left a huge hole. The 6th season introduced Jack Burns as Warren Ferguson, a new deputy meant to bring fresh comic energy to the courthouse. Burns was talented, but he had an impossible job. Nobody wanted a new, nervous deputy. They wanted Barney. Without Knotts, the show changed. The pace softened. The color episodes had their own charm, but the electric charge between Andy and Barney was gone. Griffith remained wonderful, and the town remained warm, but one of Mayberry's funniest engines had been removed. Knotts did return for guest appearances, and those visits reminded everyone what had been missing. When Barney came back, the old rhythm returned immediately. His body language, his panic, his overconfidence, and his need for Andy's approval still worked. The movie gamble.
I hated to leave. I never expected it to go on. I had interviewed with a lot of people. I had some offers. But, but movies, that's what I want.
Leaving Mayberry was risky, but Knotts didn't vanish. Universal put him into a run of family-friendly comedies that used the same nervous energy audiences loved in Barney. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken became one of his best-known films. Knotts played Luther Heggs, a small-town typesetter who spends the night in a supposedly haunted house. It was perfect Don Knotts material. Fear, pride, trembling courage, and a man trying desperately to prove himself. He followed with movies like The Reluctant Astronaut, The Shakiest Gun in the West, and The Love God. These films gave him a bigger spotlight than television could offer at the time. Not every movie was a classic, but the gamble worked well enough to show that Knotts could headline projects. He did not need to stand beside Andy Griffith to get laughs. Still, the films also proved something else. Barney Fife was special. Knotts could play other nervous characters, and he did, but Barney had a place in viewers' hearts that could not be duplicated by simply giving him a new name and new costume. Friends beyond Mayberry.
I see Andy quite a lot, even though he's in North Carolina now, but we get together when he comes to the coast.
The most important thing to understand is that Knotts did not leave because he hated Andy Griffith. Their friendship survived the exit. They worked together again, reunited in Return to Mayberry, and Knotts later appeared on Matlock with Griffith. Griffith kept the show running for 3 more seasons. Knotts built a film career, then later found a new television audience as Ralph Furley on Three's Company. Both men continued working, but Mayberry was never exactly the same without their weekly partnership. In the end, Don Knotts quit the Andy Griffith Show not because Barney Fife had run out of laughs, but because one changed decision came too late to stop him from leaving Mayberry behind. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Don Knotts made the right move by leaving for movies, or should he have stayed in Mayberry once Andy Griffith decided to continue the show? Let us know in the comments section below.